Mixtape is one of the highest rated games of 2026 so far. Perfect 10s almost across the board. And I played it, and yet I was bored. So let's just read off some of these reviews real quick. IGN gave it a 10 out of 10 and said this: no interest in fail states or high score chasing. Instead, prioritizing existing in and enjoying the moment. That's the review. The whole defense is that you can't fail. Insider Gaming called it a deeply nostalgic coming-of-age masterpiece. Nothing about this game is the 90s. Slant Magazine said the right song can make you feel like you're flying. Maybe if you consider flying what Thelma and Louise did. So, let's just start with the most basic problem. The game is called Mixtape, yet she is walking around with a CD player. That's not a mixtape, that's a burnt CD. If you were alive in 1998, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. And look at her gear. Those headphones, I don't know what they are, but I've never seen any like it. Those look like some high-end modern retro style fitted headphones. The ones we had back then were either painful in-ear ones or over-the-top ones that were just as painful and made out of a really thin piece of aluminum and plastic. Most of us at that time didn't walk around with CD players anyways because guess what? They would skip. We hauled around pill-shaped boom boxes outside while we're playing basketball and playing games. And it was great. If you were lucky enough to even burn a custom CD in 1998, that meant your parents had bleeding-edge, expensive hardware that most people just didn't have at that time. She's not some edgy grunge outcast. She's a trust fund kid playing dress-up, which might explain why a lot of these reviewers have a connection to it. They couldn't even get the packaging right. They put an $11 price tag on a clamshell case. You know what those are used for? Bulk blank media. You bought those in packs of 50 at Walmart. It's not a retail album case. It's just a prop somebody threw in because they did zero research and thought it looked cool. And the dialogue. It sounds like someone fed an AI every Pauly Shore movie ever made and asked it to write it for teenagers. Nobody, and I mean nobody, that I ever knew said cha. In the 90s, we were sarcastic. Everything was dry and bitter. And we weren't just sitting around trauma dumping to 80s post-punk. The real 90s soundtrack was chaos. It was Rob Zombie right next to Creedence. It was Chumbawamba and Sugar Ray on Christmas morning. It wasn't this sanitized indie film therapy session. And here's another annoying thing. Where is the 90s nostalgia? Where's the skating rink? Where are the arcade cabinets? Why is there no talk of Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, or Mortal Kombat? That game caused congressional hearings. Nothing about this game fits what the 90s was. No Macarena, which sadly took over the entire world, which honestly was nightmare fuel. No Dodge Viper posters, no Firebirds, no PlayStation or Nintendo 64, or even a Game Boy. Nothing. They just decided that the 90s was vibes and flannel and called it a day. Okay, so now for the flying. Remember how Slant Magazine said the right song makes you feel like you're flying? It's because the characters are actually flying and floating around. Because they definitely have some substance abuse problems. And what makes these segments so terrible is that you can just put the controller down and walk away. Set it on the couch, go grab you a snack, come back, and it's still going. The game is just playing itself. You don't have to do anything. And that's why they gave it a 10 out of 10. That's their masterpiece. Now let's talk about the rendering. This game is just flat out ugly. The characters are animated in stop motion animation, and not the good Tim Burton weird charming style. Also, not everything moves at this stop motion. Some of the background objects do, while others don't. And the world itself is usually moving at 60 frames a second. It just looks odd and out of place. It doesn't fit. And then the ultimate villain in all visual effects in video games, chromatic aberration. It is so bad in this game, it's unbelievable. As soon as I started playing the game and they're standing around the car, I look over to the side and the image is so blurry and has so much aberration to it that my eyes started watering. Whoever thought that this was a good idea to place in video games, that it was a good, you have no idea how much this makes me angry. To purposely destroy the pristine quality of your 3D graphics by adding in something that is a flawed camera effect is the stupidest thing that you can possibly do to your video game. Stop doing this. Okay, also, when you're outside, it's sunny. but somehow it's always hazy. Then you go inside and everything is this clean, pristine, perfectly lit Instagram room, which doesn't fit because in the 90s, everything was yellow. Not kind of yellow, yellow. Warm light bulbs, grandma's chain smoking 5 packs a day, everything was stained. The walls, the carpet, and the light itself. Then the room should have had ugly shag carpeting, horrible green and brown furniture with wood grain around it. None of that is in this game. But the one good thing that I can say about it is that it's not a broken, buggy mess. It's also not even really a game. It's a manufactured aesthetic from a boardroom. I'll never understand how this game got so many perfect scores. It doesn't make sense. Just because a game is not broken does not mean it is perfect. A lot of these reviewers have lost the ability to see the forest through the trees. So this game is definitely a pass. In my opinion, if you really want to experience the 90s, boot up a PS1 game or an N64 title. And if you want to hear some good music from the 90s, play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or Twisted Metal. That is how you're going to get the real nostalgia trip, not this. Thanks for watching. If you want more videos like this, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all later.